dangerous beyond comprehension, alarmingly colossal, Lord of the Mountain, almighty legend, monstrous in its fury, absolutely unchallenged, destructive prowess on a scale unparalleled, undeniable in its awesome might. Run, run, run. But it won't help you. We face Dalamadur.
I'm a slithery little sneaky snake. I'm so slithery and sneaky because I'm a snake.
Oh yes, fellow hunters, it is well past time we talk about a dirty great big snake. And this is the dirtiest, greatest, and biggest of them all. Behold! Not the first time I've said that sentence. No, Dalamadur, the Serpent King Dragon, a worthy title for his majesty. He is the largest monster, 450 meters long, a living trunk of muscle, which can constrict, assuming Dalamadur is of the squeezing disposition, well, scaling off a green anaconda, which has a force of 90 psi, ergo being caught by one of these guys is like having a school bus placed neatly on your chest. Well, Dalamadur then would come out around the region of 9,000 psi, which is like being teleported to the bottom of the ocean. It's an instant smushing scenario. However, the likelihood he hunts as a pure constrictor, given the size difference between him and likely prey, well, it's not too high. More than likely, it's just a quick tsh, and you are, well, in the belly of the beast, especially as he does have two front legs armed with savage claws longer than you are to grip, tear, and maim with grievous efficiency. This is also what lets him crawl around mountains along with his powerful coils. Indeed, the spines on his back, coupled with this, let him carve out mountains. He can tunnel through the densest rock and shape the land to his very will. And this isn't even some sort of Pokédex level exaggeration like we get here. He really can model the earth itself. He is said to be a myth, a legend, seldom seen and even less recorded. A god to some. Though, look, a lot of the powerful creatures get god thrown at them. I mean, it's like there's just two explorers going around going, "Oh, Steve, look at the size of that snake. Oh, it's gotta be a god, right?" "Yeah, hurry, I think probably it's a god." "Oh, yeah, I knew you'd agree, Steve. Snake god. Snake god." Look, okay, ignoring Dumb and Dumber over there, it is certainly powerful. Arguably in raw strength, the most powerful monster in existence, and that is an impressive title to hold. It lives atop the Spear Tip Crag, which it modelled into its namesake, and it waits there, slithered around it, caressing it, letting its shadow of death fall atop the plateau, waiting for the hunter to come and have a go. Indeed, one of these has never been slain before until the final eclectic conclusion to the battle at the end of 4 Ultimate, and I will never forget my first encounter with this guy. Walking in and having the introduction play, going from oh, it's a huge look. Oh my God, it's Norman, I want to die, and then running up its side, getting to its head, stabbing with all of your strength, rendering it low for just a moment, and letting you go to work on its face. It leaves a lasting impression. Epic doesn't begin to describe it. It's not the most repeatable fight. It drags. He has obscene amounts of health, something like 17,000, which, to put in perspective, is over double Xeno'jiiva by a fair amount too. He is a tanky son of a bitch. Reclusive creatures, for the most part, they oft not pose a threat despite their intimidating nature. Hell, they're not even a problem. Like, they don't attack things, they just live and hunt. Like, the guild isn't really that bothered. We go expeditioning to its home and, well, go, that looks like a fun challenge, I'm having that. There's really little need for conflict twixt Dalamadur and the hunters. It's honestly feels more like sport. Granted, they do cause huge landslides and boulders to fall and huge chunks of rock to come tumbling down, and it causes damage and injuries, and the surrounding villages that do live near the mountain kind of a little bit terrified. But for the most part, it's quite a peaceful, unaware coexistence. So it is quite curious just how powerful and big it is compared to how little, in the general sense, of a threat it poses. But aggressive they are, defending their territory, which is an entire mountain range, with a fury. And that fury, well, it makes itself manifest. When threatened, Dalamadur, well, kinda starts the Hellfire Apocalypse by summoning, a meteor storm. Blue fire blazing from the sky showers the battlefield in gorgeous obliteration. And these meteors of blue flame that Azula would be proud of, well, they can last decades lying dormant, ready still to burst forth and turn all to ash, as evidenced by the meteors still left undisturbed in the Rotten Vale so long after the Dalamadur that caused them has been turned to naught but skeleton. Now, we also have the Dalamadur's mouth. Outside of a colossal bite force able to tear through rock with ease, it can produce one of the most blazingly beautiful beams in all of Monster Hunter, a swirling vortex inferno threatening to consume all in its path. Pelted out at such force, the Dalamadur can nary contain it and is sent reeling in recoil. Its temperature regulated by a mighty vent adorning its chest that glows crimson to match the rage of this almost insurmountable monstrosity. They have lost the use of their back legs over time, rendering them as nothing more than little nubs. Honestly, Dalamadur kind of reminds me of a skink. They don't have really great use of their legs. They're essentially kind of hybrids twixt snake and lizard. I have a blue tongue, and he is just, he's lovely. And every time I see him, I'm like, there's my little Dalamadur. Look at him, there's my little, you look at him go, little blue tongue, come on, He's called Nyx, in case you're wondering. But yeah, I really love how this thing actually functions. It's a much bulkier forward body to give it that weight to throw itself against the rocky home it lives in, dragging and clawing and pulling and smashing cliff faces aside with its front claws, and then drilling with a spin-like motion, turning the hooks down its body akin to a drill as it carves a great network of tunnels underground. Even passively burrowing under a settlement causes irreparable damage to a huge swath of the town. Even their tongue then possesses paralytic properties that it can use to render its foes helpless, which I feel like is overkill for something like, does it need that? Like, really? What was the design process behind this? Yeah, so we made, like, he's a fucking big snake, like a really big snake. Like, people are gonna see him and they're just gonna be like, he's the strongest, the largest, he can breathe a frickin' tornado of blue fire and summon meteors! But, you know, maybe that's not enough. Shall we give him a paralyzing bite? I like the way that you think. Thanks! Let's do it. Come on! It's too much! What's he fucking biting that needs subduing? What can't he swallow whole? Who's he fucking hunting? Actual God! No, okay, the point is, he's a pretty effective predator. He sheds his skin like an actual snake to grow larger, though I imagine a baby Dalmadere is still hefty. And talking of the life cycle, the ones in the Rotten Vale, I did a whole video on this, but the TLDR, scaling the size of the skeletal vertebrae of the Dalmadere there, at minimum, you get an adult length of 2 miles long. But the comments from you guys on that video, a lot of you did some lovely extra maths, get a little bit deeper with it than I had time for in the video, and we can end up with a number closer to 7 miles long. It's just incomprehensibly insane. There is a reason that his official entry is a huge elder dragon, massive beyond human comprehension. Initially, that just sounds like, oh, okay. I mean, you can still, it's big, yeah, but like you can comprehend big. Don't. Come on now. Don't be silly. Let's be accurate here. But really, if we start to look at those potential sizes, colossal entire civilization, at least with that level of technology ending sizes, it's essentially unstoppable. It is not a killable animal at that size. Hell, it should be crushed into its own body rate, but maybe that supports the low gravity monster hunter theory, but that's not the point. I am starting to think now that somebody saw this and went,
if there's a scale from 1 to even, I can't.
And I get it now. I get it. He is the most absolute unit in all Monster Hunter. You should be in awe at the size of this snake. So that's kind of already it. There's not a lot to him. Well, that's not like there is a lot to him. He's fucking massive. But in terms of deep lore and biology, not really that crazy. For his size and ranking amongst monsters, he's honestly quite animal in nature. Keeps to himself in his mountain home. It's a habitat that works. Carving out a network, a nest. The spines work to do it. The hooks to grip the rock along with his claws. He has the predator tools set up. He can essentially hunt literally anything. And given that he is snake-like, doesn't need to eat that often despite his size and metabolism, very much in his favor here with how slow it is able to function. And he really, again, he is a little bit on the that's too big to work, but for the most part, he's fairly spot on, and he's just a big snake living in the mountain doing snaky things, and I can totally get behind that.
But wait, there's more.
Oh yeah! Meet the Shah Dalamadur. Not strictly a subspecies, but a state that every Dalamadur enters into after they have freshly shed. They're a little bit vulnerable, but they do gain some benefits. I mean, firstly, this lovely bronzy, orangey, reddy appearance, looking really good there, Mr. Dalla. But their temperature is in constant flux just after shedding. They lose the ability to perform homeostasis.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
And in this regard, they fluctuate from incredible burning heat, where their very presence scorches the landscape, but they are incredibly vulnerable to attack, and freezing cold, where they are resistant to damn near everything, but slow and sluggish. Outside of that, they're a little bit more aggressive, and their flames are a little bit more fired up, as it were, and really, that's kind of a bit stronger. They kind of go into, oh my god, I'm vulnerable, and like, really, Dalamadur, you're a fucking 500-meter long snake. I don't care that you've just shed and your scales are a bit softer. Oh, they've gone from being able to repel the sharpest weaponry literally available in the world that you live to now you can kind of get dented a little bit. Oh no, what are you gonna do? It's just like, but I guess, to be fair, that does pour forth the animal instinct that it's undergoing. Despite its own power and size, it still has to look after itself and feels the need to do so. So they go a little bit molt crazy. So that's the Shah Dalamadur. And yeah, that's all she wrote.
You didn't see anything.
Quite frankly, I'm happy we've reached the end, because I've had it with this goddamn Dalamadur on this goddamn mountain. I've been waiting to do that for so long. Ever since I started doing lore, I knew there'd be a Dalamadur one day. It wasn't worth it, was it? It wasn't actually that good. Oh my word. So, yeah, I hope you do indeed like this guy. He is one for the history books. Honestly, one of the best monsters they have ever designed and that we have ever fought. There are definitely better fights themselves, but memorable wise, it is up there. So my name has been Josh. Like you've enjoyed this, subscribe for more, turn on the notification things, and hope it somehow works, because YouTube really isn't a fan of me, and I will see you very soon. So, imagine then this terror in world. Strangely, I actually think it could work, and really isn't all that unlikely. I mean, we have evidence of them in the New World thanks to the Veil. Clearly, Dalamadur come burrowing under the ocean to die down there. They'll come breaking out of the ground, and I guess just find a nice little rotting corner and sit there and wait to die. Yeah, this is nice. But we could easily have an event where, lo and behold, a Dalamadur full adult size is bursting into the Veil and causing all sorts of havoc. Maybe it's there too early, or it's in a particularly bad mood, and you could easily have a Kulftaroth Siege-esque scenario where it's like slithering through caverns and tunnels, and in the different zones you have different parts of its body, and you're hacking away as this great big snake trunk comes coiling past you, and you have to do all you can to actually prevent it from destroying. Maybe it's digging towards Astera, that's the issue, and it doesn't quite realize. I could see it, so it eventually reaches a point where it stops moving, and you can go into an area where its tail is and fight it, then you can go across a couple zones and look, there's its head and fight it, and it really does right itself there, and it would totally be believable, because the established precedent is already set. So, I kind of think it's really one of the more likely things in the grand scheme future of Monster Hunter World. So here's hoping. I mean, let me know what you think, of course. Let me know who you'd like to see Lord up next. But yeah, a goodbye. Oh, and also, of course, Digdugdak for letting me use the sneaky footage so a black screen is not all up in your face. Linked down below.
Rage gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kinda relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.